County Commission meeting to order, April 9th. First up is the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Lee, would you lead us in that?
It's over here. Oh, okay. Oh. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Started praying.
I guess you can do that too.
Shit.
Okay,
So, we have our district court, contract. That they got to us, later yesterday afternoon. And it is not on the agenda, then we probably need to add that to our agenda item. It's a contract we enter into every year, so it's not anything new or outside of what we've been doing. So let's add that at the bottom of the list after the Garden City Cemetery Board appointment. Just to approve that contract so we can get it returned back to them. And with that, I don't know that we have any other changes or additions, and I would move that we approve set the agenda.
Okay, I'll second that.
okay, moving second that the agenda be set for today. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Lynn and Camille. Explain to the commission what you got going. Either one. Maybe Camille, where you've had conversation with them.
Okay, so Cyan Homes, John Nelson, it's been an ongoing battle since January of last year. And he thinks that he shouldn't have to pay the sanitation because there is no services rendered. But the county's policy is if they have a livable building, then they pay sanitation. And so it's a back and forth on between the bills. And so he currently owes $3,080 as of today. And Eugene had a phone call with him last week, and he told her something about the planning and zoning minutes that we needed to go back and review, and that he has a private company that comes and takes the garbage out, and that was discussed in planning and zoning, and that's why Lynn's here, because I wasn't there for that.
Private company.
I don't know anything about that. He told me that he would get Waste Management or somebody to come, and called me one day. I says, go ahead, but they're not gonna come over here for cheaper than what we're doing it for. Cause they'll charge him to come all the way from wherever they're coming from to pick up 15 cans or whatever and then go. But yeah, I never, and I said, well, if they do, they've gotta come and get a permit to move garbage in the county. Cause they're not permitted to do that right now, so it's not gonna be real feasible, but he's one of those guys that likes to try and push and push if you can, and try and find a chink to catch you doubled over on yourself,
So each one of these are an account, is that correct?
Yes.
And is any of these homes being rented as nightly rentals?
They have one short-term rental that's in, like, it's recorded in their name, but there's a renter that lives in there, and that's the one that's on the bottom.
Okay,
And then there's a renter in the 48874, and that's what started the whole conversation again. So he has two renters. And so we told the renters that he owes 140 for it, for the accounts. And his biggest thing is that there's no service rendered, so why does he have to pay for it? And we get all kinds of phone calls with that. So the sanitation setup needs to be different somehow, so that people are aware that once they get their CO, that it's automatically set up.
And we're doing individual cans in there, right? And so of each one of these units got an individual can.
Just the ones that have got the billing set up to get it paid when they get sold, they set up the account, so. That's when I take the can over. I can take them all I can, but then it's like, then how are we gonna, the
Well,
billing wouldn't change if we do that, cause they'll just use the can and you won't be able to get it billed
Well-
to the new owners.
well, and that's what I'm wondering. So right now, we're not picking any garbage up because they don't have a can.
Not the ones that don't have the,
And we don't have a central, location with dumpsters that they can dump in, right?
not yet.
Okay.
I told him we'd be glad to do that, and he's got that back road we could put him on, but I said, we're gonna have to figure out how you can pay for that.
Well, I mean, the thing, I guess in my mind, where we're doing individual pickups, we've got, so every one of these are empty. Is that what he's indicating, that these are all empty homes without cans in their
Mhm.
driveways?
In the past, when people have called and said that they don't have a garbage can or whatever, like depending on when their CO is, if it's like a month or like 2 months, Eugene will take it off and then they have to pay the next one. But he's been fully aware of this for over a year that he's had to pay that and that it's county policy.
Do we have any other instance? Well, we don't, because, all our other subdivisions, we didn't do individual cans with, we do dumpsters, and so everybody gets charged.
And this is just one that kind of throws it into the perspective because those other ones, the dumpsters are there. We don't know if they've, and usually they're set up so that somebody's built the house anyway, so they're doing it. This is a little different than what we've encountered before, so.
This year, we've had 4 people call to say that they're going to sue the county for sanitation reasons where services haven't been rendered. So why do they have to pay for it?
What did they mean when services haven't been rendered?
That because they're short-term rentals, that they're not there for the full year. So why do they have to pay for the full year?
Okay. And
And like, I don't, to me, it's like you go into any other county and you still have to pay your
Sure.
garbage and things.
It's just like water or sewer or
Right.
anything else. Okay, well, I don't use my house for a full year, but do we know when they're gonna use their house? I
Right.
mean, the services are provided for,
Mhm.
a year-round basis because, but if these are empty and they have not been sold, but I'm guessing, I'm absolutely sure that they're still paying sewer and water on those houses.
Mhm. Well, those have to be set up in order for them to proceed on building on there, but
Right.
why isn't sanitation the same process?
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah.
yeah. Fine. You just always gotta come up with problems, don't
Yes. You're welcome.
you? Well, there is a,
Well, if we're never, even in the summer, we're not dumping him. Cause if he's hiring somebody else,
well, he's
I
got
just don't
he's
think
got a
he is.
can. He's not hiring anybody else.
he's got a can.
Well, those houses don't,
Those houses
they're
don't
just-
even have a can.
they don't have a can yet, because we haven't taken a can to the ones that aren't sold or somebody's not left in. When they call to set up the billing so that it's going to the right person, then Eugene lets me know, take a can and take it over. And
Then it's service.
we make sure we get those all logged in so we know which can belongs to which house, cause they'll run them up and down the street. So we keep pretty good track of whose cans what, just so that we know when somebody borrows their can, where it went and bring it back, so. And I usually write their number on them now, so that it's double secure, but yeah, they don't have a can now, and as far as I know, there's nobody in there, so he's not getting anybody to come haul his garbage. Other than just what they were building and stuff, and they had those construction dumpsters in there.
Which is a requirement from the building permit anyway, so.
So that's as far as I know what he's done with that, but he did tell me he was gonna get another company to come get it, and I says, whatever, it's gonna cost you a lot more.
Well, he either uses us or he doesn't. It's just that simple. Doesn't want to use us and wants to do a different contract, that's great. Let him do his own thing. But he doesn't dump at our landfill. But where there's no occupants there and there is no can there, we are not providing a service. However, I don't know. I guess this is probably something we need to review with our county attorney and find out what his feelings are as far as our liability there, one way or the other.
Yeah, I'm more of the mindset, that if it hasn't cost us any money, then we probably shouldn't be charging them any money. But also that opens a precedent of other people bringing that up. So I think the scale is going to fix a lot of things because if you did have a contractor, at least that contractor would be paying us to use. We would know what they were bringing in. They would have a number. We could look it up. And then additionally down the road, probably move into some type of per use. That $140 divided by 52 weeks. I think we did the math. It was like $2.75 a week that we charge.
But we don't do it that way.
I know, but that may be the way that we want to shift to, so that we are charging for use. So if people, that would be a huge forklift upgrade, but down the road, that's probably how we need to move, because these types of scenarios wouldn't come up at that point. If they didn't use it, then they didn't pay.
Well, but that brings it up. All that does is open another can of worms, because you've got somebody that only uses their house 2 weekends or 3 weekends a year. You do not provide any service for those other 9 or 10 months. So we don't charge them for 9 or 10 months.
Yeah, we wouldn't charge them, but I think we'd actually make up.
So do you know exactly that's the problem? When
Yeah, so like in HOAs, it would have to be just the dumpsters, and we'd have to charge the HOA and let them figure out who's using it. They can charge the homes. But I would say we simplify it and bring it back to, like in those areas with the dumpsters, we have the HOAs pay for it. They can start
Problem is
locking.
then in the winter time, then it's gonna be slim revenue coming in, and then the summer will be.
I think we're losing so much in the summer that it'll make up whatever you think we're losing in the winter.
where are we losing that with summer from?
At those dumpsters, and some of the places where we don't charge per dump. And our rates are pretty low when it comes to dumpsters compared to our neighbors around us. But again, that doesn't solve this situation.
And this is a situation that I'm not sure there's a cut and dried answer. It's gonna be take it apart and look at it probably different directions and then try and figure out the best one is gonna be. But
Yeah, but are we,
for right now, for us, for Eugene's office, me, we just try and go on with the policy, and I try and support them when he calls me wanting, or somebody calls me wanting me to try and intercede with what they're doing. It's like, I try and be understanding, say, you know what, I understand what you're saying. I get it. I can see on that side of the fence, but on this side of the fence, this is what we have to go on.
so
So then they'll
Lynn,
plan
we
sort of
need to
something
decide
out,
here.
but
Does our policy, does the $140 we charge for trash give them access to the service, or is it for the service? Because if we're charging $140 and they're not using the service, but the $140 is just so they have access to it, then we should just keep charging $140 even if they're not using it. That covers for that covers a benefit that you just aren't taking advantage of. And so we need to look at our ordinance and see,
That
like
might
Bill
be
Yeah.
said,
clarification.
I know when Lou Jean talked to him last week that she said that it's a service that is provided for you to use. So,
so the fact that they aren't taking advantage of it, you know, may not mean that they're able to get a refund. But we need to make sure that we're doing it right, because I'd be more willing to give them a refund just because they aren't using it. But if our ordinance says that
Do you know
every
the
property
wording?
owner has to pay it,
do I what?
Know the wording on the policy?
No, I tried looking at the ordinance. I had it printed off, but I didn't bring it down.
Well, he doesn't need a refund because he hasn't.
Yeah, he hasn't paid.
So I noticed on this one, there's 19 that are supposedly empty. But there is one, all the rest of them are 140, but there is one at 70.
Yes,
Is that one that he's paid on?
that is one that a new owner just purchased in the last couple of months.
Okay,
And so the new owner is the one who paid for the previous sanitation that John owed
okay,
on it. And then their personal ones are in here too, like John and Christie's houses. They're in mixed in with these two. So they're behind on some of their own personal sanitation too. Cause when he called last year, he had said that they were remodeling their house, and so he was using Elmas,
yeah.
which Delmas dumps in our landfill too. So
But that's a whole different
yeah.
scenario.
So
So on the 70, I guess, so you say that's a new owner there?
yeah, and it's the same new owner on three of them has the same new owner. And so he paid 140 times 3.
so do we have a $70 rate? Usually isn't that for those RVs, like at Sweet, like up at the top of Swan Creek?
Yeah, so it was the $70 for the RVs, that's $70 a year. So
So
they
why
have,
is this one $70?
it depends on when the CO came in. So some owe like for the full year and some only owe for the half year.
Okay. Hmm.
So, he's got a renter in the home.
He's got 2 renters.
Okay, those two,
Hmm.
and he doesn't want to pay for those.
No, because that's from last year.
Okay.
And then the new renters called last week to set up the accounts, and that's what restarted this. But I know in July when the sanitation bills go out again, we're gonna get another phone call from him. That's why I'm here.
Another phone call, and what's he gonna say this time that there's renters in the home?
Well, those ones he won't probably say anything because there's renters in the home, but all the other ones is where he'll.
Okay. So this one paid by the new owner, that is just, so the new owner is paying from whenever, I guess these are back from last year that he owes, right?
Right.
So are those new owners current on where they're at?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is tricky.
Okay, well, we gotta review the policy.
Yeah, this
We need to talk.
townhomes is kind of a new ball game for us. We haven't been in, so it may need a little different tweak to make it work. I don't know, but it's definitely something that probably not gonna go away.
Well, the problem is we entered into something we shouldn't have, and that was to enter the campaign.
Exactly.
Should have never entered that issue.
Remind me where this is. Where are these townhomes?
Right across from Mike's Market.
Oh, okay. Yeah. They have dumpsters.
No,
They don't have any spots for them, do they?
And then
that
that's
was-
part of the problem, he didn't have any room for it.
Okay, I think I remember. Which is one of the reasons we met with Garden City, to not approve things without talking to you guys.
Mm.
Okay.
all right, well, as of right now, I would, let's table this till our next meeting in May, and in the meantime, let's review our policy and talk to our county attorney and see where we're at with this whole situation, and whether we're going to dismiss what he owes or that we will pursue.
Okay.
That's my thought.
Yeah, that would be a good chance to bring up some of the stuff that you and Steve talked about as well when you met with me here.
So that's my motion.
So I'll make a second.
Okay. And then you guys will figure out a better setup so that people are aware that when their CO comes, that we set up accounts.
So
that-
what's your suggestion on that, Camille?
Well, I don't know, because I don't know the process of like like when I built my house, we had to go to the city and pay for the water, the sewer, whatever it is that we needed to do.
Right.
And so I don't know if the sanitation can be a part of that as well.
So right now, isn't it triggered off of the building permit? So when they get an occupancy permit,
Mhm.
Mhm.
they immediately go.
We automatically set up an account, but the customers aren't aware that that's what we do.
Okay. So where in the process do we tell the customer about that? Is it when we issue the building permit? Or is it when we issue the occupancy permit?
When you get issued the occupancy,
Okay,
because you can't put like your construction stuff in the garbage can and
Right.
things. So yeah.
so as they move along and they have an occupancy,
Hmm.
then how do we trigger that they know that they, well, I mean, obviously if they're occupants, well, it depends on where they're at, I guess. If they're on a dumpster system, that's another situation. But in this particular case, you know, when they, somewhere along the line, we've got to figure out, because these all probably have occupancy permits now,
Hmm.
since he's trying to sell them.
Hmm.
So there's got to be a trigger there that when we find out that he sold them, that they're on sanitation. Right now, at least they don't have a can, and they're probably going to request a can. So that's,
Well, and that's the other thing. Like once they have occupancy, do we just text Lynn and say, "Hey, this person needs a can"? Is that what
that's
we
probably the only way we
need to
can
do
do
it? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how else to do
Mhm.
that. Because somewhere along the line between the occupancy and them moving in, you know, Lynn needs to,
Or do you-
to take a can and the account's gotta be created. But actually with these, they've already got accounts created, don't they?
Hmm.
Or do you put it on their responsibility and make them call and request a can? And when they do that, they get started getting billed.
Well, and that's fine, as long as they understand that, you know, I guess it's that, you know, for service, they've gotta call and
Yeah.
request a can. But that's still, that's what I say, so where's that call gonna go? It's gonna go to their office, then they're gonna have to text Lynn and say, hey, they called and they want a can. Text or call, either way.
Definitely sounds like a process we could improve.
Yeah.
So I think it'll be affected by our current policies and ordinances, so we'll need to look at that.
And do you,
There were,
did you say you printed those off? Our policy, our sanitation?
Yeah, it's on my desk.
Yeah, would you make a copy, 3 copies, so we
Mhm.
we can just look at that and,
So there's kind of a slight difference where these that are not inhabited have never had a can, different than
yeah,
those people that are using them in the summer.
oh, totally.
So,
That's why I say we need to look and see if our policy has anything there, probably amend our policy to,
because we could mark these off. But those that are being rented in the summer, you don't know if they're gonna come up for a weekend in February or not.
well, even if they're not even rented, that's one of the other issues. It's kind of like why I use my cabin, like, 3 weekends out of the year. And we don't nightly rental it, and so I should only have to pay for, we got a couple here in Randolph that,
But we don't know that you do that.
well, it's kind of like, okay, which weekends are you talking? I mean, it's not like, it's not like you can just turn it on and off. I mean, the service is there year round. You want to come up at Christmas, we pick your garbage up, you put your can out. You want to come up 4th of July, your can's not out, that's fine. The truck went by and could have absolutely dumped your, it's not, it's kind of like your water, you're gonna have to pay for it. You gotta pay for that. When you turn your faucet on, the water's there, you can't.
And maybe this needs to be classified, maybe there just needs to be a base connection fee, for sanitation if you own a home. Kind of like the water, a minimum fee. I don't know.
So we have a motion on the table to table this,
And a second.
and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. So,
Just get us a copy of that.
Yep.
Please.
Or that. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks.
thanks.
Would you, make sure that that gets on the agenda for the May commission?
Should I put it under Ben Willoughby or should I put it under Lynn?
Put it under Lynn, and sanitation, just put sanitation, and have Lynn there, Lynn and Camille, just like you did on this one.
Okay, Sarah.
Hey.
Come on up.
So here,
Yes, you betcha.
thanks for taking time.
Yeah. So, on the business license,
Yes,
you tell us a little bit about it.
sure. So I'm a CPA, licensed in Pennsylvania, that's where I'm originally. And for the past 9 years, I've been doing outsourced bookkeeping and CFO services for small businesses kind of across the country for my employer. And so I'm looking to go out on my own and do the same type of work, just under my own business. It's 100% remote. Nobody coming to my house, meeting there.
Know what?
No clients coming to my home
Oh,
to meet me there. It's all just online.
So, if I wanted you to do my taxes, for example, when you say it's all online, I'd submit my documents to you, you would look at them and tell me, you're in trouble, this is how much money you owe.
Hopefully not, yeah. No, that's exactly right. So most of my work is not in the tax realm. It's more in the advisory and accounting work.
Okay.
So most of my clients are using QuickBooks Online. They're sending me documents electronically. I meet with them virtually through Zoom or Google Meet.
Okay. Awesome. You've been in Garden City, Swan
I do. I live up in Swan Creek.
Peak CPA, or is that Swan Peak? Is that what that's what? Okay. That's awesome. I mean, I think that's great. How long have you lived here in the county in Garden City?
Since the summer of 23, we moved to Utah the year before that in 2022 and lived over in Cache Valley until our house was done here. So,
Awesome.
yeah, we love it.
Even the winters?
We love it. I just got back from Hawaii and the whole time I'm there, I'm like, man, I really miss home. I didn't think I would miss it, but man, I actually really like it there, which is great. I love to say I live in my favorite place.
Where did you move from?
From Pennsylvania, we were I'm from Lancaster, so Amish country. But about an hour or two from Philly.
Good. So it's working out well and so are you gonna continue to work for your employer as well as be on the side?
In the interim, yeah.
Yeah.
Until I get to a point that I feel like I can go out on my own completely.
Okay. Okay. Do you have a copy of your application? Do we have a copy of that? Oh, it's under the
You have it in
tab.
there, all right.
I know. Yeah.
I like that tab.
Okay, I just. I am not used to having tabs. And, you know, apparently we had a lot of time on our hands that.
You guys always get copies of them, but you can't find them without the tabs.
So I definitely think you're filling a need. You know, there's not very many CPAs and there's always people asking for them. So I think you're very smart for doing this. And I'd be happy to make a motion to approve your business license.
Right. The only question I had, and I kind of put it on there for you to determine, was that on the application itself, it lists needing like a fire code and health inspection. Since it's just out of my home and I'm not seeing clients there, do I need to have that done? That was kind of the question.
I don't.
Okay.
I do not believe
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah, where you are not interacting with any of your clients besides over online.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I mean, I think that would be where it's entirely within your home and it's all virtual. I think that would be not anything that would need to be addressed with your business license. Now, in the future, if you open an office in your home, then that would be a little bit different, but where it's all online, I don't think so. You've got your state ID and you know, you're registered with the state, so I will happily second John's motion and
Okay.
we can grant a business license to Sarah for Swan Peak CPA services.
Okay, motion on the table to accept the Swan Peak CPA LLC business license. And a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you
Is
so
that
much.
is that a $50 or a $25?
It's in-home business, it'll be 25.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thanks for coming over and wading through the sanitation discussion.
Fascinating.
You were sorry you got here early, weren't you?
Not at all. I think it's good. I'm
So-
actually going, I should get my kids in here just so they can see how it works.
Sarah, just let her know it's the 25.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay, Mitch is unable to be here, but he said we have this contract, do we?
It's on the,
Yep, with the tab.
Utah DNR Division of Water Resources Water Element Plan contract. He got a grant to do that.
$15,000.
Yeah, so
what's
Thank
this,
you.
what's this for?
Actually, one, just-
okay,
What's this money is for?
to make a plan for
Planning money?
yeah,
So there's
yeah,
so much planning money.
because we're all required to do it.
Okay. Well, this is easy. I'll just make a motion that we accept or we approve the receiving the grant from the Division of Water Resources. $15,000.
Okay, I'll second that we sign the grant agreement with the Division of Water Resources.
Okay.
You made that sound better. Thank you.
Okay, motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
So we got a clean copy of that tab on it, but you'll have to sign that again. So
You got a clean copy in his hand.
There is some Guess match, I guess, huh?
I believe so.
20 comes to 26 total. I don't see a line for me.
Keep going. It's on the very, on mine. Keep going right there.
Right there.
Thanks.
The tab's in the wrong spot. No, that's good. Ninth today.
Okay, thank you.
You get this.
All right, okay.
All right, Mr. Ben Willoughby. Are we calling him or is he supposed to be here?
And then we'll also call Randy Ludlow, and then I didn't ever hear back from the other party. They're, whether they're gonna be here or not, so I don't have his phone number.
I believe this is the one out in, oh, this is for the way subdivision.
Did you guys ever do the conferencing on this? Like where you call more than one person? Okay. That's great. We'll just use 2 phones.
Think about this here for a second. So
Like,
I don't know, I was thinking, the one, I used one of these and it has a conference button.
right.
And you put somebody on the phone and you push the conference and then you dial the other person.
That would be,
answer.
unless it's this flash, but I don't know. Sorry, I didn't practice that one. I thought this was a conferencer.
Well, it is if we knew how to do it.
Hi, Annalisa.
Hey Ben, you are on speakerphone, and I'm gonna get Mr. Randy Ludlow on the other phone. Was there anybody else? I thought somebody else was gonna be joining us, but I don't have his contact information. Do you know of anybody else that's trying to get on?
Only if Randy's attorney, Andrew Lilly White, was going to appear, but I don't know if he was planning on that.
Okay. I did actually talk to, I did talk to him, so it sounds like, Randy's probably the only guy that will be here besides yourself then.
Okay.
Okay.
Is this?
This is Randy.
Hi Randy, it's Annalisa with the Ridge County Clerk's Office. I've got the commissioners here and I've got Attorney Ben Willoughby on the other line. So you are all ready to proceed.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about what you got going, Randy.
Oh, Ben, are you going to talk or am I talking?
I don't want to step on your toes, but maybe I can lead out.
Yeah, go ahead, Ben.
Because flavor more than it. Ben, add anything.
Okay. Well, first up, I appreciate you commissioners letting me appear by phone today. It was a busy day and I couldn't make it. John, are you there?
Yeah.
I just sent you something to your john@.bar email
Okay.
that has an attachment. Would you mind pulling that up?
Yep. Okay, I got.
Let me know when you have. Okay, what see that email, there's 4 attachments.
Okay.
If you open up the second attachment that's labeled Randy Ludlow Survey PDF,
Got it.
okay. That'll help me explain this to you. Okay, so we're talking here about lots 80 and 81. Were owned by the Ludlow family. Cisco Road, you can see those on the map. Cisco Road runs to the east of that. You can see in that plat, there's the current Cisco Road. And then in between lot 80 and 81 and Cisco Road, you'll see those other little parcels that are labeled roadway parcel lot 81 and right below it, roadway parcel lot 80. Those little 2 strips, or those 2 parcels are what we're talking about today.
Okay.
Well, what Mr. Ludlow is asking is for a quitclaim deed from the county, basically disclaiming any interest that the county may have in roadway parcels 80 and 81. There's a Court of Appeals decision. So this matter was actually litigated back in 1993. There was a quitclaim action that was filed that went all the way up to the Utah Court of Appeals, and there's a written decision for that case. And let me just kind of walk you through it. So the facts of the case, it was addressing roadway parcels 80 and roadway parcel 81, because there's the 2 parcels that we're talking about. The 2 claimants to it were the Ludlow family and a company called Falula Farms. What happened is that these are from the facts of the Court of Appeals decision. In 1969, Falula Farms arranged with the Rich County Commission to shift Cisco Road, which apparently hadn't been built yet, 22 feet to the east. Well, let me back up. When this was platted out, the Ludlow family got their land from the original Sidaway subdividers. They had put an easement in place for Cisco Road to run right through those parcels, roadway parcel 80 and roadway parcel 81. And so in 1969, Falula Farms arranged for that to shift 22 feet to the east. The county commission agreed, and that's how we have the current positioning of Cisco Road. And as part of that transaction, the Rich County Commission provided a quitclaim deed to Falula Farms for the those 22-foot parcels, which are on your map as the roadway parcels 80 and 81. In 1993, there was this dispute then between the Ludlow family, who originally owned those parcels, and Falula Farms that had received the quitclaim deed for the parcels, to litigate on who owned them. The Court of Appeals noted that the Ludlow family had an easement on their property, but under common law, whenever there's an easement for roadway on your property, the underlying property owner owns to the midline of the highway, subject to the easement, so that if the road is ever vacated or abandoned, the underlying land reverts back to the original owner. The court wrote, the question then is remaining is what happened to the county's fee title when it vacated part of the old county roadway, those 2 parcels at issue today. They go through all of the law and reached the conclusion that we're compelled to conclude that Rich County originally acquired at a feasible fee simple title rather than an absolute fee from the Sidaways in 1958. In other words, the county just had an easement overlaying the Ludlow's land. The court noted that the county lost that easement in 1969 when it vacated part of the roadway by moving it 22 feet to the west. Consequently, the fee simple title to strip of land reverted to Mrs. Ludlow. And then they sent the case back to the district court with orders that the district court then enter judgment waiting title to those two strips to the Ludlow family. But for whatever reason, the Ludlow family's attorney did not follow through and never got that document they were required to get. So, in my opinion, today, this matter was settled in the Court of Appeals in 1993. Should have been a routine document for their attorney to go get from the district court, and they neglected to get it for 30 years. That doesn't really matter anything today. I think it's from that opinion, it's clear that the county does not own any interest in roadway parcels 80 or 81. And so I guess they're having some trouble now getting a title insurance or a title report done because there's a cloud on these two parcels they're trying to fix today by getting a quiet title action, or by getting a quiet title from the county. And so what they're asking today is just that the county sign that document stating that for roadway parcels 80 and 81, the county has no ownership claim to them. And I think that's exactly what was ruled in 1993 by the Court of Appeals. Does that fairly sum it up, Mr. Ludlow?
Yeah, put that.
Okay. And does the commission have any questions for me or for Randy?
Okay, so at this point in time, in order to clear this up, we would, they obviously, the documentation was not filed, and so it's still it's still a cloud on that title. In order to remove that title, do we need to approve the vacation of that again, to vacate that right away?
Yeah, I mean, what ideally would have happened is they would have gone back to the original judge in 1993 in the trial court, and that judge would have entered a document, a judgment basically saying the county doesn't own any of this, nor does Faluba Farms.
Right.
It all goes to the Ludlow family.
Okay,
What they're asking for today is just a quiet title action, which is basically saying any interest that the county has, we're disclaiming. And since we have no interest in those two parcels, it doesn't give anything up from the county, but the Ludlow family believes that it will help them clear up this cloud on their title.
okay. So the county still maintains its 66-foot right of way. It's just,
It's just,
it's been shifted out of those two parcels, 22 feet, correct?
yeah, and that's correct. In fact, what's kind of surprising, it's not the Ludlow family demanding this, it's their title insurance company.
Right,
What's kind of surprising is that they need a quiet title today because what started this whole mess was that in 1969, the commission gave a quiet title. So we disclaimed our interest in 1969 already.
right.
They're just asking that we do it again.
Okay, okay, that was the question I had. It was granted in 69, but it was not followed through, and so we need to grant it again to make sure that it's executed on the quitclaim deed so that it will free up their property.
Sure. The county hasn't had any interest in this since 1969.
No, the road's in. I mean, the right of way is still there. The shift was approved. The county lost nothing as far as any type of right of way or anything. It was just shifted. So would it be proper for me to make a motion that we go ahead and grant quiet title to the Ludlow family? Is it Ludlow Family Trust, Mr. Ludlow?
Well, the one is parcel 80 is owned by the Royal Ludlow Investment Company, which is our family company.
Okay,
The other one is owned by the Ludlow family. That's 81 is owned by the Ludlow Family Trust.
okay. So I would, you know, let's move this process along so you can clear this up. I would make a motion that we grant, quitclaim deeds on lot 80 and 81 to the Ludlow, for the Ludlow interest to clear, make that clear to the fact that they no longer have a cloud on their title, and they can move forward and make sure that they have those, that quitclaim deed is filed and shows ownership.
Second.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries.
Okay. So what will you need from us? Ben?
John, on that email, if you go back to the attachments there.
Yeah.
If you open the fourth attachment, which is labeled quitclaim deed doc.
Yep. Annalisa, looks like she printed it out for Sam.
Thanks, Annalisa.
Sure.
So if one of you would just sign, and then it will need to be notarized, and then if we can send a copy to Mr. Ludlow, and he'll need to get that to his attorney and get it recorded and to his title company. But once we sign and notarize it, that's really all the county has to do here.
Okay.
And we would sign as the grantor.
Are you the grantor?
It says grantor. Someone write their name. Maybe I don't know what the by and its means, but just name and title. And then if we can have a notary,
So
I know Kaya can act as a notary. Annalisa, are you a notary too?
I'm not a notary, no. We just have Eugene.
Blue Jean's our only notary, and she is out sick today, so maybe to execute this a little quicker, we can either wait for her, or we could maybe even take it over to the bank and get this done so that we can move this process along. Apparently she's been sick, and she may be out for a period of time. I hope not, but
Sure.
we'll get this notarized, so we just, as long as we know where to fill in, so.
Okay. Great. And all right. Well, appreciate your time, and again for letting me appear by phone. And
Didn't have another question.
Thank you, gentlemen. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'll sign up.
all right. Have a good day, everybody.
Thanks. Hey,
Ben?
Ben, hang on just a sec.
Okay.
You still there? So, we need to have some discussion about our, sanitation ordinance and about, some of that. So, you've missed that discussion, so, maybe tomorrow, we can call and I can explain to you what we're looking at, but we probably are gonna need to make some adjustments to our ordinance. And,
Just to the sanitation ordinance.
yes, just as a sanitation ordinance. Do you have that, or do I need to get a copy of it to you?
I have a copy of it here on my computer.
Okay. I will, either I or Sam or John will call you and explain, what we're looking at as far as, some billing issues and some services and, those kind of things, to see if we can make sure our ordinance is very clear as to how that works.
Sure.
For the, so,
You want to set a time for that call right now, and I'll make sure I'm available.
You know, whenever works for you. Tomorrow afternoon would be fine. Actually,
I'm free this afternoon also.
well, we're busy this afternoon. We got a full day. Maybe tomorrow afternoon, would you be available around 3 or 4?
Yep, I'm free both of those times.
Okay. let's, let's plan on 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. And, we'll have a discussion with you around 4 o'clock. Okay,
Great. I'll be available.
okay,
It says.
thanks.
Okay. Grab Kim.
Those are just our quarterly financial statements.
Okay.
Okay, is not anybody not being here today or what? 'Cause I can't see that far back. It's weird.
Yeah, no, it's all been virtual so far.
Lucky you guys. All right, Kim Wilson, Rich County Assessor's Office. I have personal property exemptions. I have a copy for each of you so that you can look them over. And then there's a handful that send in their own, or we had to send it in if they didn't want to do it on our virtual or on our website. So there's a few of those whenever you're through and ready.
These are all the ones that have done it online.
Yep. As you can see, we have quite a few that are exempt. That I think the exemption, they're 29,300. If they're under that amount, they're exempt once all their stuff's depreciated down. So that takes out a lot of our businesses.
The new amount is 29,000, you said?
Yep, 29,300.
Okay.
And it's something with the consumer price index, and I don't know. But it sure does take out a lot.
I like this. I like that single sheet though. That's good.
Yeah.
The
one.
list, yeah. Well, and then if you want to see, I mean, everything's online, but we can print it out, so it'll look just like the top sheet of the ones you're looking at. But we have some companies that do them on behalf of other things or have their own stuff set up, so we're still accommodating those as well. But it is nice to have a list and not have to bring you the big stack of
You've seen the
exemptions.
Yeah.
And they're still, you know, we still are doing our audits with these also. So we have, I think we do like 20 audits. We have the tax commission do come and do 20 audits for us a year. And that kind of helps educate them, helps keep them honest. We having problems with some, you know, it just helps a ton.
Yeah.
How come there's on here more than once?
That's the way they set it up in their system. They may be like the same thing, just different,
I think they're
Stuff.
the same, yeah.
but it might be the same kind of equipment. Like I said, when we get some of these companies, they lease sometimes they lease personal property like hot machines or mixers or ice cream machines or some of these bigger things. Sometimes it's like man lifts, heavier equipment kind of thing. And so sometimes it's the same stuff, just maybe different locations, and sometimes they list them more than once. But it's a pain to have to try to sort through those. Jeannie hates them because it's much easier. In fact, it's getting really easy with them doing it online. Then they can put it in what it is, and it takes a lot of the guesswork. Because before we had to try to decipher not only what the equipment was, but their handwriting
Yeah.
in a lot of cases, and it got hard.
Yeah, how many people did you say applied for your
5.
5?
In fact, Jeannie's going to call them to interview them on Tuesday of next week.
You-
Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on which day they.
You think that higher wage helped out a lot?
I was going to say, I appreciate that higher wage. I do think it helped out. I'm surprised I haven't had more applications, actually, because that wage looks very attractive. And so thank you guys. I know you've worked hard over the last, especially 5 years to get wages up, and I appreciate it. That's a much nicer wage to post.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm surprised I didn't get more applications because of that wage. That's a good wage.
That's part-time?
Yeah.
That your position?
No, it could work into full-time. Right now it's part-time because I didn't budget for a full-time position. So if somebody wanted to work full-time, in the past, I haven't had anybody that wanted to work full-time. They've wanted the part-time. So, it's a possibility, but I'd have to budget for that for next year as far as full-time.
So there's a possibility that you could take your part-time appraiser and make it a full-time position with your office help.
Yes, if I don't get any takers.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if any of the ones that applied want it full-time, if they just want part-time. I'm not sure. We'll interview and kind of see what we're up against. But you're right, because I haven't had absolutely no takers on the part, on my appraiser. I was kind of hoping to try to get somebody that was already certified. There's a possibility that I could try to hire one and get them certified, get them trained and things. That's just going to take a while because they have to have a bachelor's or equivalent now to be an appraiser.
Certified appraiser.
And so it's a lot harder. They have to be designated with the tax commission. It's a pain, but I know the tax commission is real concerned, as well as probably all of us should be concerned that once I retire, if nobody, kind of needs to get somebody that kind of knows the ropes and wants to be here to do the assessment.
That's 10, 15, 20 years down the road.
Well, I am getting older. And I've been here 30 already. So, that's a long time to be in one position, especially an elected position, but it is what it is. But I haven't, like I said, I was hoping to get somebody that maybe was certified so I'm going to leave that one posted for a while longer and see what happens. And then maybe I can get somebody to do data collection or something too, if we needed to. Or like you said, Bill, full-time position.
Well, I just wondered if that would be a possibility. I mean, that would be ideal in one aspect, but
Yeah.
In another.
It is just, it's just very hard. We just don't have a huge pool of people to choose from. I mean, I could try to advertise elsewhere, but like Brian was asking if I had advertised in Wyoming, and I haven't, Cause I kind of wanted to give our people here in Rich County an opportunity if somebody wanted it,
Yeah.
you know. And it's, you know, when you start trying to hire an appraiser out of Wyoming, you start talking different states and it gets a little more cumbersome.
It does.
I was wondering if maybe I could get somebody that just was a retired appraiser that wanted to work some, you know, part-time. It's kind of what I was hoping.
It may still be a possibility.
It might, and that's why I was gonna leave it posted a little bit longer and see. But I've got to get somebody else in so that when Bridget's done, then we've got somebody that can kind of help take over. You know, at least run motor vehicles and things. Those are very important. So, but I do appreciate the wage and that starting wage and the work that you guys put into that. I know hasn't been easy, and I know you've worked your butts off for that, and I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Because like I said, that looks very attractive now. When you put that on a posting, it looks really good. And like I said, I'm surprised I haven't had more people jump at that.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people that don't want to work anymore either. But it's sad when with what is it, unemployment and the social assistance, they're making more money than they can working.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. So until the government kind of starts to say,
Rein it in a little.
yeah, you can't have $900 a month for food, you know, in our food stamp program, or it's not food, I don't know what it is, a food assistance program or whatever. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And that's been a while ago when I knew that amount. So it's like, I don't spend that much on groceries.
I think
When
it's
I-
thousands now,
Yeah.
you know, based on how many kids you have. and-
Yeah. Well, that, and then like I said, unemployment, we're paying people to not work. And that's a sad state of affairs, but it is what it is.
Okay,
I'd make a motion to approve the personal property tax exemptions.
second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by the same sign? Motion carries unanimously.
Thank you. Do you guys have anything for me?
I don't think so. I guess we'll see you at one.
I appreciate that, you guys. Thank you.
Some of it will.
And you've been or you're all in big trouble because I worked really hard to get them people here so that, you know, you have an opportunity to visit with them. And I appreciate Annalisa's help on trying to hire and get some of these things figured out too. She's been very beneficial. So I'm sad that she has to hire too, but you know,
Yeah.
it's kind of is what it is, you know,
Yeah.
but we all get through it. So
Yeah.
I'll
So,
leave this chair here.
are you gonna? Never mind. Yeah, good luck with that. Hopefully, I'm glad you got 5 applications.
And we're gonna interview all 5.
I would.
Get that set up and we'll get them interviewed on hopefully Tuesday. We're trying to get that figured out this week. So
Good.
Tuesday or Wednesday, we're gonna try to see what day they could come and then. So.
All right.
That's good.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Did you steal my pen?
No, well, this one was in my pocket. I don't know if it's yours.
Did you take my pen?
You know, I did.
Where'd it go?
Anyways,
Is this your? Are one of these your pen?
I think that one is.
Yes, I did steal your pen. This one was in my pocket.
Okay.
Me, don't blame me.
Go back and watch the recording, I guess.
blame you.
Yeah. Yeah, we can do that. Right. Good job.
Yeah, I'm sure I did.
Chip seal bid approval.
Okay, in the back of your packet there, you have a copy of the bids. Brandon is actually down at a training right now, and so he's not here. Did we have a time for this? Was anybody? I don't know. I know Tyler and Bart.
It's sent an email,
Neither one of them were going to attend. Is that correct? Okay. So last week we had a bid opening, and these are the bids. This.
Here it is.
Oh, there you are.
Just in time.
Why don't you come up here? So last week we had a bid opening for our road over in Round Valley, for a chip and seal project. And we were able to combine this project with 3 other projects.
2 others.
2 others, Woodruff, Woodruff and Randolph projects. And as you can see, the 3 bids, the number 1 bid was, or the lowest bid was Consolidated Paving, with Anderson Asphalt coming in second, and Staker Parsons as the 3 bids. The lowest was Consolidated Paving. As you can see, and really overall with the 3 projects, we feel like we got some really good bids considering the engineer's estimates versus what our bids come in. So quite pleasing there. That's a good thing. But we do need to approve the bid that we want to move forward with. Once we make this approval, then Jones and Mill will move forward with that whole process, and we'll get those projects, this project in the hopper to get done this summer, hopefully. We did include an alternate. One of the alternates is that we may want to go with just a little because of that road over there, and the cracking in it, and the falling away, the shoulders breaking off. We had an alternate there that we may want to use a heavier oil and try to put a little more substance on the road in those cracks as well. So that's something we'll have to look at as we move forward. But the original bid at this point in time is $374,495.50.
80 cents.
Oh, 80 cents. All right.
Did you make a motion, or are we still discussing?
Real quick, and that is with the alternate, the 374,000
Yeah,
includes the alternate.
thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just roughly $12,000 more to get that heavier oil.
Yeah. So, I think I would make the motion that we go ahead and include the alternate in the base bid of $374,495.80, and that we approve that bid and move forward with that project.
Okay, just real quick, I guess you have experience with Consolidated Paving?
Yes.
They're a pretty good company?
Very good company.
Okay, I'll second the motion.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? By the same sign, motion carries unanimously.
Okay.
Just a question, do we have to go with the lowest bid?
No, not, well, yes and no. If we don't go with the lowest bid, there has to be a reason why we would not go with the lowest bid. It may be a company issue, it may be, in other words, not high reviews from the company, or maybe the company may not be on the state approved list or something like that.
Okay, I was just
So,
curious.
It says the lowest responsible bid.
yeah,
So if you find some reason that it's not responsible, like,
But we'd have to
Pass.
state it publicly.
yeah,
Why we're not doing
like a past performance would be a reason not to go with somebody. Or qualifications if you don't feel they actually have the.
Okay.
That's why I was asking Tyler about Consolidated. I don't know who they are, but it seems like they have a pretty good reputation.
they've done quite a bit of work over in the Uinta Basin,
Yeah.
and
even these other two bids, I talked to a couple of these people, they mentioned Consolidated's a pretty good company.
Yeah, I think Anderson's actually worked quite a bit with Consolidated too.
I talked to them.
And
They're all out of Ogden, that's kind of weird.
yeah, and we all are, I mean, that we got more projects coming down the pipe, hopefully, and so, it's encouraging to see the bids come in lower than our anticipated estimates have been, so that's great. So,
Speaking of more projects, we gotta do something about Sweetwater Park Drive. My tires are about to explode every time I drive down that thing. I'm going,
slow down.
I'm going pretty dang slow.
just
The
slow
problem is I'm not paying attention and I hit the potholes that are
Little
this,
potholes.
That's the one along the hill, or
Yeah.
that's not the one out in the middle of the.
yeah, that's the one that the
Goes to the
Ridge
trailer
HOA uses, yeah, Sweetwater
Okay.
Ridge.
Our real issue with that is right away, and in order to do, I mean, it's gonna be a costly road.
I haven't been there for a minute, but there's some serious drainage issues
Right.
where they built their road down onto.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the road is the drain.
That's narrow. We're gonna have to go back into the hillside, and there's fiber in the hillside there, so there's gonna be a relocation of some kind there. And then off the other side is a canal that the drainage, we gotta figure out,
Yeah, we need to do something.
but
That's the point where-
it's been something we've dealt with for a while. If nothing else, we just need to dig it up, put it back into gravel and roll it and blade it, because
Fix some drainage issues and do that, huh?
maybe.
Is that a pretty simple process to just come grind it up and lay the millings down?
Well, it's not a simple process, but it's probably better in the long run than what we've got there. So what's there is millings. That's the thing. I mean, that's millings, that we put down from when, it's probably been there 10 years now, when they went actually from Garden City city limits all the way around and went clear to the junction. And those millings were available, and we put millings down, and they, for the first 3 or 4 or 5 years, they were pretty good. But, without a good base underneath millings, for one thing, they only, they're a Band-Aid, they're a Band-Aid. And that one, it has such draining issues, and the road base underneath is not, it's substandard. I mean, we really need to go in and really put in a good road base in that would be, substantial enough to hold either an overlay or, something different than what we've been doing. But yeah, it's a bad deal. I mean, there's no doubt.
Is that something you'd be interested in bidding out next year, like we did this one?
Probably.
Get out on our radar.
Well, we've got a couple more issues. That's someone that we probably need to look at, because we're going to be bidding probably that one from Lake Town out to Cisco Road. And also Lake Town, we've got to decide how we're going to do that. We were hoping for funding to.
You're talking from the park to Cisco Road?
No,
Or
from some beaches.
Okay,
Is that the more money? The congressman money that we got?
No, this one's actually already been awarded. We got 1.3 million to widen that road, and put a bike path in from where it ends, where there used to be a cattle guard there,
Mhm.
ends, into Lake Town, right to the highway. And then on the other side of the highway going out to, that was a project that we submitted to Congressman Moore's office to try to get that funded. Right now that funding has all been paused.
Doged.
Yeah. Don't know. He said it's still, we're still working on that. We still want to try to get some of those projects funded, but as of right now, everything's on pause. So,
Okay.
He said don't count it out, but don't
Don't bank on it yet.
Yeah,
So if we can find another funding avenue for that, we ought to
That's-
look into it.
that's probably what we need to do is look into it. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, the main problem with that Sweetwater Road is those trailers are becoming the primary homes because houses are so dang expensive
Yeah.
that people are living there year round now.
Yeah.
And I only notice it because I have a tower there, but it's like Bill said, the drainage is a problem, which is just compounding, eating away at the road because the water will just sit in those potholes instead of going anywhere.
And ruined your base, and then
Yeah.
everything else starts moving again.
It's about like driving from Wyoming state line and down.
Yeah.
I thought you were gonna say along my road, but
Yeah.
glad you didn't.
And we're about to lose control of Manhead too with some of our potholes there. You know, it's a pretty nice road, but there are a few spots that's gonna compound pretty quickly around the two big loops. Just if you're out and about looking at stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those major deals, and
Roads there.
you know, and we've got the road out to, you know, from Woodruff out, you know, 2 miles out
Deseret.
to the south to the Deseret.
To Freedom Lane.
Yeah, so that road, I know the oil has been on that road since 1970, 1969 was when they paved that road.
Well,
That
that's
was-
a pretty good road for
That's been good
50,
pavement.
60 years old.
Its problem is
50 years.
the little divots are straight across, so both your tires hit it at the same time. I went out there just the other day and it's kaboom, kaboom through that.
Yeah, those,
There's not a lot of
And you forget
potholes.
about them.
the
Those lines are,
yeah, the frost causes some real issues, and you know, and they'll come down a little bit and smooth out a little bit, but they're still there. You know, it's kind of like the junction out
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
from
Junction out.
basically, well,
To the
where
landfill.
dump road is,
Mhm.
you know, on up around the corner. It's getting
it's getting a little better now. Early this winter, it was
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those challenges, but we've made some progress, and you know, this will be a good project. This is a good project, so.
Yep.
All right, good enough. From here, you guys will go ahead and work through your deal and
Okay.
sure we're all right.
Well, in this project, we had a special provision that said whoever gets one or whoever's a low bid on all gets all.
Yeah,
Luckily, Consolidated was low on all three, but so we're still gotta go through Woodruff and Randolph. They're planning on approving the same contractor. And then once they're all approved, we'll get the notice of word out and get rolling. So,
okay. Okay,
all right.
thanks for taking a minute and running down.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you guys.
Trails Board appointments.
Okay, so we went through this list last month, but we need to just make it official. We have Wes Thompson and Mark Smoot as 4-year appointments. Mark representing the recreation
Sorry,
person.
who did it? Sorry.
Wes,
Maybe I can see your list when you're done.
yeah, I'll give you the list. And then Brad Davis, as conservation and Norm Meekum as a landowner. They're 2-year appointments, so that we have the alternating. So Wes Thompson, Mark Smoot, 4-year, Brad Davis and Norm Meekum as 2-year. And we've actually already met and have some other stuff we need to ask the commission on the next item.
All right, I move we approve those appointments to the Trails Board.
Okay, second.
Moving second, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, one of the things that the Trails Board has already done is we've already met with Emily Meadows, the DOR planning coordinator for outdoor recreation. They have a grant of $200,000 to help communities make an initial plan and inventory for trails. One of the things you have to do to get the grant is you have to just have a meeting with her, which we've already done, and then you need to get a letter of support from your commission or your government, local government, to be able to apply for that $200,000. And it's not a matching grant; it's just a grant. Not
200?
yeah, not guaranteed we'll get the full amount, but they'll recommend an amount that gets us our full inventory. Plus, some of it can be used for designing some of the trails. And so we'd like to identify the lowest hanging fruit of things that can be developed quickly and use some of that money towards that. But we need permission to have our chair sign this letter of support that I've typed up.
Okay. I'll make that motion.
Let me see the letter of support.
Those minutes. I'll read the minutes.
I guess also we ought to include on that appointment, we ought to include John as the representative from the
Yeah.
commission, so.
Um,
Add that.
Put
in the
that on the
motion,
list
yeah.
for Dan Lisa.
Okay. A couple of the members, I think three of the members already went and met with the Forest Service over in Logan, talking about some of the connections on the public land. So they're really, they're getting going. Now they have a little bit of authority to start doing stuff, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, I'd make a motion that we submit this letter of support to the outdoor recreation I guess it would be to their board. Is that what we're doing?
To Emily, and it's just for the ORPA grant. Yeah.
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 Yeah, I'd make a motion that we go ahead and assign that as that letter of recommendation.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
So, Garden City,
Sign below there.
Garden City's had a resignation off of their cemetery board over there. Randall has resigned after many years of service, and so they advertised for a new cemetery board member, and Mark Hislop submitted his name that he would serve on the cemetery board, and they would recommend him to be appointed to their board. So I would make a motion that we go ahead and appoint Mark Hislop on the cemetery board for a 4-year term. Garden City Cemetery Board.
Second that motion.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously.
Okay, State District Court has given us a contract. Within that contract, basically this agreement establishes a contractual relationship, but between the Administrative Office of Courts in Rich County for the purpose of meeting the statutory obligations and responsibilities of carrying out court. Their contract is they give us a contract, and it over the course of a year, from July 1st through 2025 through June 30th of 2026, they will, the contract is $31,159.31. So I move we approve that contract and authorize the chair to sign it.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimous.
Okay.
Where does this go?
And Lisa.
Thanks.
All right, everybody look at the expenditures.
Looking at 'em right now. Who's Canyon View toilets for?
That's who has these all the porta potties around.
How many do we have?
Well, it says landfill, which I don't think we have any at the landfill.
They're in.
We have been paying them for as long as I've been here, so this started before I even came in, and we pay for the landfill, porta potties. So if we don't have porta potties up there,
Well, I think
We're
we,
paying it
I
up.
think we still got one, don't we?
I have no clue. Do we have one?
Well, we haven't had running water and a flush toilet until you finally got everything back online, so.
In the summertime, there is a porta potty, but I always thought it was just like
No, I
one of the
think,
things they kept.
no, it's not. There's, we,
You know, up
Saved.
by where they park up to the west,
Well,
up where they park like the tires and like the metal. There's one.
well, I don't know, we need to check with Lynn. I mean,
Yeah.
if they're no longer using it, I mean, if we, but when
think so.
when our generator went down and we had no running water for the well, we've had and also it was, they were keeping one up so that somebody didn't have to come all the way down to the office. But then again, I mean, if I think it's out there, but if we don't need it, we just as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it a monthly? Do we do it monthly?
$400 a month. So I'll take that assignment to figure that out if we still have it, we don't need it.
Is that one? It's $400 a month.
I can
for
go get a
one?
copy of the bill.
Why don't you go get a copy of the bill? Let's see if it has a location on it.
Okay.
Wonder if they're billing us for the one that the scales out here. Are you paying that much? So yeah, let me know if there isn't one there, or if we don't want it, I can call him and cancel it.
Okay.
And come and pick it up.
Yeah, $5,000 a year.
It's the same guy that does the rodeos.
Okay. Unless you guys can think of somewhere else it needs to be moved to.
Well, if they got one out there, we definitely need something out there but if their toilets and stuff's working, then
Yeah, it's been working. I mean, probably cleaner to go into the porta potty, but
because it gets cleaned monthly.
yeah. I gotta say, our health insurance is pretty good too. Have you guys used it at all?
Or what?
Health insurance, EMI? I probably had $4,000 or $5,000 in claims this year just from kids.
Does that go with that thing?
Oh, yeah.
This is every month.
Yeah, monthly.
It's probably one of those things where people,
Says one,
All right.
6091 North Dump Road. So it's the one at the dump. And Lynn just approved it, so obviously we must still have it out there.
I didn't approve it. Well, we'll pay it, but I'm glad we asked a question about it. He says it's moved by the scale house, so it'll be the bathroom for the scale house. They could probably just walk up the road, right? To use the bathroom.
It's quite a ways over there.
Depends on if it's winter or summer, I guess.
Either way, they gotta drive.
Okay, we'll figure this out. After the fact. I'll make a motion that we approve the expenditures and we approve the minutes. Can I make a double motion?
Sure.
Approve the minutes for which meeting, John?
You caught that? You don't just want a blanket approve? Okay, for the March 5th, 2025 meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, moving second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Unanimously.
Sign this one.
Okay,
Approve.
Thank you.
All right, I would make a motion that we adjourn into executive session for some personnel discussion, employee. discussion.
I'm gonna need a vote roll call.
I second my motion and I vote yes.
Okay,
Yes, you have to do
Move.
the roll call vote.
moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Yes.
Everyone said yes. Everyone roll called yes,
Thank you.
including me.
Okay,
So
I'll turn this off.
get into a different